Welcome to Notorious TV. In today's episode, we're addressing an issue that's evident across all modern Porsche sports cars before reflecting on the recent engine rebuild, studying some lessons learned in an effort to save you some money. All right then, so you'll remember on a recent video on this perpetual Little Irish fixing diary that we seem to have, the air conditioning failed, right? We realised this when the engine was going back into Little Irish and Scotty at Barnsport was regassing the system, and we saw that pretty much as quickly as the gas was going back in, it was leaking out the system the other side. The issue was I had a road trip to do. The epic 4,100 mile road trip to the Arctic Circle. We were literally leaving in a couple of weeks, and in that time the car needed to be painted to repair the damage it had accrued in transit. And we took that as a priority over staying cool inside. We figured, well, look, if we're driving north, we're not realistically going to need the air conditioning. Which rang true until the penultimate day as we were driving back down into Central Europe that was going through a heat wave at the time. Let's just say it was pretty sticky in there. So we're here at Wrightune, kind of the home of this car really over the year, isn't it? The guys have looked after Little Irish for years now. They're going to take the reins once more and investigate the air conditioning leak that we have, the common problems with the system before getting us back on the road and staying nice and cool inside Little Irish in time for, with any luck, the rest of summer. Just as a quick history for the geeks among you, air conditioning was an option for years on the Porsche 911s. This is going back into the air-cooled days. It was only the 930, the 911 Turbo, that had air conditioning as standard through the 70s and early 1980s, and that was again part of the car's remit as being the flagship model and the most opulent Porsche ever made. So air conditioning was standard specification on the 930. It wasn't until the arrival of the 964 generation that air conditioning became standard specification, and it stayed that way ever since. So even poverty spec Porsches like this one does have air conditioning. The trouble is the positioning of some of the components on a Porsche leaves itself open to failure. And that's happened on my car kind of in two places really, because there is a leak identified, which will show you the part and that in detail shortly. It's basically the positioning of the condensers sitting in the front of the car. They get absolutely peppered because there's no kind of grills or anything as standard. There are some aftermarket solutions. There's nothing in the way to stop stones and other road debris smashing continually into those condensers. That's exactly what's happened on Little Irish. So although those condensers haven't officially failed, they're about to. So we're going to replace those today. And it's a big thing to check, certainly when you're looking to buy a Porsche, is checking in the front intake on the car, those front grills, checking in there, because, I mean, I've seen it before where the condensers, leaves and other debris then, if stones haven't peppered the condensers, then other road detritus like leaves, for example, gets sucked in there, gets stuffed in the corner. That then rots and corrodes all the time, which turbocharges the corrosion procedure or process that the condensers are open to. They then start failing. I've seen the bottom halves of condensers literally hanging off sitting in the front of cars there. So it's always a quick and easy thing to check, certainly when you're buying a car, but also maintenance-wise, if your aircon stops working, that's the first place to check, okay? And so to this, I have to stand back for this. The part is massive, runs along the side, the underneath of the car, and then up and over into the front driver's wheel arch here in the UK, right-hand side. Now, the issue was quite a lot of bubbling there, so that's where this sits in a clamp, which is then attached to the chassis of the car. And again, same thing where detritus, damp basically gets in there, it is held, and that exacerbates corrosion, which is what has created pretty much a pinprick, but it's enough for the air conditioning system to have a leak and therefore eventually fail. So the fix, luckily for me, is just a new pipe here. I have also been told that I am extremely lucky that the corrosion is only there and it doesn't continue past this because the next part basically goes up and over the engine. So to replace that is an engine out job. And we don't want to do that because we've had enough engine out issues. So we're quite lucky that the problem, fingers crossed, is going to stop right here. And so began our air conditioning repairs, which, for once with this car, seemed to get off to a positive start.
That valve normally seizes in there, solid.
Ah, okay.
So that seizes in there, and then you can't split the two pieces, so you've got to try and split them without this one. Obviously that comes up over your engine.
So that would suggest we're onto a slight winner.
It's a good start.
Okay. Pipe off, we could get the new one in, which as mentioned, goes right up into the driver's arch. So it is quite fiddly. Pipe in, O-ring on, and joins connected. Next it was bumper off to assess those condensers at the front of the 911. If you've not seen this before on a Porsche, prepare for a shock.
This is what causes all the problems. You took the condenser off and all that shit was behind it.
Whoa!
Yeah? Plus what's ended up on the floor.
So that was there.
Yeah.
He's removed it, plus what's on the floor.
Whoa.
So that's the number one cause usually. But you can see here as well the corrosion. Now although it may not be leaking yet, you can see how deteriorated the condenser is.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but there's still aluminium on the floor that was on there. So it's falling apart basically.
See, that is particularly hammered, isn't it?
Yeah, it's had a hard life.
It's done well. So Little Irish has been carrying some extra baggage, and for God knows how long. It's an Achilles heel of the 911 design, though you can purchase aftermarket bumper grills to reduce, albeit not eliminate this. My new condensers are from Marley, which are well priced and one of a host of options available via Heritage Parts Centre, where you can get up to 10% off when logged in using the code 9works10 at the checkout. New condensers in place, Mike put the front air inlets and bumper back together before moving to the last piece of the puzzle, the desiccator. Funny name. Basically a sponge and filter to keep water and other detritus out of the AC system for both smooth and safe running. With all those new components in place, the AC system was regassed and I had a cool 911 once again. Thanks for having us back in the workshop.
No problem.
How often are you regassing 911s then and fixing aircon problems?
Quite a lot, yeah. We have quite a lot of issues. I keep a lot of condensers in stock, almost as many, like an oil filter almost. That's how often we're changing them.
Okay.
It's not quite as bad as that, but yeah, we do because of where it is. You can get a lot of people think stones could hit it. They can. In reality, we don't see that damaging them that much. It can happen, but what tends to happen more is leaves and detritus get in there and rot it out from.
Okay.
It's normally caused by corrosion or damage. We very rarely have compressor issues, but you can. I don't know why, but yeah, they just seem quite good, quite bulletproof. We have changed them, of course, but usually condensers, pipes and O-rings. You've got a lot of joints because obviously with like a 911 you've got a compressor in the back, you've got the pipes running all the way to the front to the condensers, evaporate, etc. And all those pipes have got joins and they've got O-rings. So if you do that, it can leak. There's lots of places it could leak, and then also corrosion can then introduce that as well on the pipes, etc. However, if it's been empty for some time and then you fix the fault, say it's a condenser fault but it's been empty, you also have oil that goes around with the gas typically. The O-rings then dry out, they shrink up, and then you can end up chasing yourself. You might fix the condensers, gas it. This is if it's been empty for some time.
Yeah.
Gas it and then go somewhere else. So you chase yourself. Not usually, but you have to be aware that can happen. So if you've got a fault with your AC, it's more cost effective to jump on it straight away and repair it straight away.
Corrosion's the main one really on it then?
Usually, yeah. That's usually the main point of failure on the later stuff.
With the AC fixed, let's look at lessons learned from my recent Porsche engine rebuild. Hello everybody. First things first, very important news. New apparel has just landed on the 9works shop. We've got a host of fresh, unique designs in collaboration with Justice Sketch. Craig is a Driven Not Hidden Collective member, and you'd have seen his work on Lufka Cult posters, for example. Craig, we're so chuffed to continue working with you, and we love your fresh designs. We think you at home are going to enjoy it too. This one, by the way, is my favourite. Check out the writing on the back. Get yourself involved, head over to the Non-Work shop. There's a link in the description alongside a host of other goodies on there aside from clothing. And so too some takeaway points from the engine rebuild, which I think is fair to say is going to, just tie a bow on top of the project, because even I'm a little bit bored talking about it now. However, there have been some questions from you, really, in the weeks that I've had Little Irish back on the road. So I thought, well, look, it probably does merit just underlining a couple of things if you're running an M96 or M97 engine Porsche that hopefully will be of use to you. And to be honest with you, hopefully will save you a few quid too. So when I look back on the last year with Little Irish, really there were signs that the engine was on the way out, that on reflection I chose to ignore, much to my own detriment, right? Just little things like the engine was starting to use a little bit more oil. It was still within the Porsche tolerance if you read the handbook, but I was having to top the car up with oil, a healthy dollop every 1,000 miles or so. So the car was definitely consuming more oil than I was used to. Probably for that final 20,000 miles or so, give or take, 15, 20,000. So from 165,000 miles onwards, I would say, more oil. In that time as well, I'd also noticed that the engine was just slightly down on power. And again, barely perceptible, but definitely there. It's one of those where you just know your own car. On reflection, I really wanted that flat six engine in Little Irish to get to 200,000 miles. On reflection, why? What on earth were you bothering with that for? To prove the internet wrong? Ultimately, who cares? And I kind of have learnt that now with hindsight. I want to prove the fact that those engines aren't necessarily made out of chocolate. And look what happened. Now, the takeaway point for everybody at home is, because again, a common question when I've bumped into you kind souls out on the road or at shows, events and everything else, as well as in the comments below, is, at what sort of mileage should we start to be concerned? Well, it does vary with these cars, right? I've heard specialists say from 100,000 miles, that's when these engines need a rebuild. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest. And in actual fact, my car, which everybody knows the story of it, used hard, used often, that thing is really put through its paces. And it got to 181k with proper maintenance. I will say that, with proper maintenance. It's had some money thrown at it over the years to keep the thing going. But, air-cooled engines, they need a rebuild at 100,000 miles. I would like to think that under progress and evolution at Zuffenhausen, we'd gone past the point where 100,000 is the need for a rebuild. Where do you put the figure at? It's difficult, isn't it? But put it this way, my big takeaway point to you is if you're running an M96 or M97 engine car at 150,000 miles, I would definitely be scheduling in a rebuild. Definitely. And that brings me on to the second point, really, which is, had I been proactive in my ownership journey with this car and proffered the car for an engine rebuild, when I'd seen it was using more oil and when it was just ever so slightly down on power compared to when I first had the car, then two things, really, two positives. For a start, I'd have saved money because there wouldn't have been that catastrophic engine failure that resulted in me needing new conrods, pistons, valves. Yes, in a project, you're always going to have you're in there, which is always, shedding out the dough. But you're in control of the entire situation with a catastrophic engine failure. Your hand is forced, not only in terms of what needs replacing, but also when. My Porsche ownership journey just literally stopped on the Route Napoleon in France. I had no say in the matter. Whereas if you're scheduling something in, you can go, okay, well, it's winter, the car might be off the road for a few months. So it's a good time, therefore, to strip the engine down and give it the rebuild it needs so that come springtime, as an example, I'm ready to rock and roll again. A far more harmonious affair and far less traumatic, I would say. So being proactive about your engine rebuild rather than reactive, as I was, will save you time, money, and to be honest, trauma. As for everything else, zero regrets. I love the 3.4 capacity. I really do believe that 3.4 litre engine is a real honey. It requires you to drive the thing and to rev it out. I've said this on previous videos, so I won't go into it too much. Some people, yep, I completely understand. They may wish to go down the route of a slightly bigger engine. What I have found in chatting to other owners who've had rebuilds is they are wedded to the car emotionally, not just financially. And so I can understand why someone might want to go down the route of a bigger engine, bigger capacity, because they are going to be owning the car for a long time. I get all of that. For me, the 3.4 litre is perfection. Focus on throttle response and then keeping the car lightweight. Honestly, it is all you need. So that's it, really, without harping on about it for too long. My regret is I didn't address the problem sooner and I wasn't proactive. I was reactive and it cost time, money and trauma. The car to date, I'm 6,000 miles in, is running fine. The only thing I will say is it runs hot. And this is, by the way, even with all of the detritus cleared out from in front of the rads in the front of the car now does run hotter than it did before. On both before and after the rebuild, I had low temp thermostats fitted. The one before was a Miler low temp thermostat, got from Heritage Parts Centre with the usual discount. The one that's in there now is supplied by the engineering shop that did some machining on the car. That was like an extra. I'm not sure why it runs hotter. No idea. It does, and I don't like it. I'm going to investigate that and see what I can do to bring it down. The temperature really does creep up, whereas it never did that before. This is the beauty of Little Irish. Everything is documented. So I'm wary of that. Otherwise, everything is just perfect. I hope that helps. If you have any questions with engine rebuilds, M96 or M97, please feel free to drop me a line, lee@nineworks.co.uk. Or via Instagram. I tend to look at those a little bit more. That wraps up another episode of Nineworks TV. Thanks for all your support of the channel. I very much hope and I'm looking forward to getting stuck into proper Porsche journalism, you know, not sharing my woes on the internet, but proper Porsche journalism, which I believe is kind of a dying art, or automotive journalism is a bit of a dying art these days, unfortunately. I very much hope to keep delivering that. So similarly, if there's any other videos that you would like to see on Nineworks TV going forward in terms of road tests, comparisons and everything else, drop a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Until next time on Nineworks TV, ciao.